All right. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about App Lab, what this place is, what we do here, and just do a practice app. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is this app over here. This is the app. This is where everything is going to be done to design it, all that stuff, and what it's going to look like. Here we have our toolbox, which is the code, and then we have our workspace. These blocks of code will be moved over to our workspace to do something, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. In order for us to actually use these blocks, we need to go into design. Now, before I even get even more ahead of myself, I want to rename my project. This just helps you kind of keep track of the project that you're on. All right, now I'm in design over here. The first thing that we need to do is actually design our screen. So I can move any of these elements over here. Each of these elements have a different ID. The ID can be considered a name, and the name is very, very important. It essentially is the equivalent of someone's name, a person's name. So my name is Carla, so that is my ID. I'm Carla. And if there were two Carlas in one room, we would need to identify each Carla separately. So maybe there's Carla A, Carla B, right? So an ID is basically like a name, and then a property or the background color or an image is essentially the clothes that a person is wearing. So I could be wearing a blue shirt, I could be wearing a red shirt, but my name will always be Carla. Let's go ahead and change the ID to home page so you can see that it changes over here. That's essentially it. I'm going to go ahead and add a button, and I'm going to add an image over here. And currently my background is white, but I can change that by clicking on the background screen, and I can pick a color. So I can pick a color down here, and then I click on the color that I want. And over here I have my image and I have my button. So let's talk about the image first. Image, the ID is image 1. That's totally fine. Let me change the image here. I'm going to go to icons. This is probably the easiest one to do. Here we go. I'm going to stretch it out. Here's my icon. Here's my button. I'm going to change my button ID to start button. And I'm going to change the text to start. This would be kind of like an example of a game, right? So you press start to start the game. Now I've designed my app. One thing that I need to do is maybe create another screen. This is screen number 2. So this could be like the game screen, right? Let me add an image so that way I can identify it. I'll choose an icon. I think there's a game in here. All right, this is my game screen, right? And I can change the icon color if I want as well. Maybe something like that, right? So here is my game screen. All right, I'm not liking these colors here. Let me change it. All right, there we go. So this is my game screen, home screen, home screen, game screen, right? I want to program this app, since it's my very first app, to go to the game screen, right? I want to go there. When I press run, it'll run my app. This is my home screen, but if I press start, nothing really happens, right? So I want to program my app. I want to go to code, and the first thing I want to do is click on event, drag that over. I want to change the ID to that button ID, which if I hover over it, it says start button. Great. Click on start button. And I want to go to that other screen. So I'm going to click on this block here that says set screen. And I'm going to change the screen to game screen because that's where I want to go. So ideally, this should work. Theoretically, this should work, right? Start button, when it's clicked, go to game screen. And that's it. When I click run, I click start, and it goes to game screen. There, I've made my first app. I have added a few elements here in design, and I've also added some code. And that's it. A couple of notes. In design, you want to make sure that you click on the element that you want to edit. So if I click on the screen back here, I only get these properties, but if I click on the smiley face, I get tons more properties. I could change the color if I want, like I showed you a little earlier, right? Something like that. The button, same thing. I can change the background color to look something like that. I could change the font. I can make the font bigger. I could also change the text, which you saw, and I can change the font family, all that fun stuff. So design is very, very important. You want to design first, and then you want to code. And these blocks here all do something different. It's just a matter of going through them, getting used to them, and following the steps on how to use them. And that's essentially it. Congratulations, you've made your first app. And from here on out, things get a little bit more complicated, but with practice, you'll get very comfortable and you can start creating more and more apps.